to enhance the image of this long awaited friend in my imagination. So she was waiting for a close friend to whom she can share her feelings. So to enhance, to increase the image of this long awaited friend in my imagination, I don't want to jot down. Jot down means write down. I don't want to jot down the facts in this diary the way most people would do. I don't want to write down in the same manner the other people usually write. But I want the diary to be my friend. I want this particular diary to be my friend. I don't want to just write in a piece of paper, but it is my friend, and friend says the diary is her friend, long awaited friend, on whom she can trust. But I want the diary to be my friend, and I am going to call this friend Kitty, and she has named it Kitty. She is going to call the diary Kitty, her best friend. Since no one would understand a word of my stories to Kitty if I were to plunge right in. Plunge means go into. Right in, I would better provide a brief sketch of my life, much as I dislike doing so. Since no one would understand a word of my stories to Kitty, only Anne would understand, because she is going to express her thought, experience to Kitty. She called Kitty to the diary, and she believes that the other would not understand whatever she is going to express to Kitty. If I were to plunge or go into writing, I would better provide a brief sketch of my life, and that is what she dislikes to share it to anybody or any other fellow or person. She dislikes to express her feelings, but she is going to express to Kitty her diary. My father, the most adorable father I have seen. Now she started writing her diary by praising her father, and she calls her father the most loving father she has ever seen in the world. My father, the most adorable father I have ever seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. It was her father who didn't marry to Anne Frank's mother until the father was 36 and the mother was 25. My sister Margot was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926. I was born on 12 June 1929. I lived in Frankfurt until I was 4. Until she was 4, they were living in the city Frankfurt. My father emigrated to Holland in 1933. They emigrated. They shifted to Holland in the year 1933. My mother, Edith Hollander Frank, Edith, her mother, went with him to Holland in September. Her mother also went with her father in the month September in the year 1933, while Margot and I were sent to Aachen, the city Aachen, to stay with my grandmother. So, father and mother, the parents, moved to Holland, and Margot and Anne Frank went to Aachen to stay with their grandmother. Margot went to Holland in December, and I followed in February, when I was plunked down. Plunked down means thrown down. When I was thrown down on the table as a birthday present to Margot, and on Margot's birthday she reached to Holland. I started right away at the Montessori nursery school. Now then, they started going to Montessori school. It was Anne Frank. I started right away at the Montessori nursery school. I stayed there until I was 6. Until she was 6 years old, she stayed there in nursery school. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started in the first form, and then she started studying in first grade. I started in the first form. In the sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Cooperes. When she reached to grade 6, her teacher was Mrs. Cooperes, the headmistress, and she was also the headmistress. At the end of the year, we were both in tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell. And when she was in 6th, at the end of the year, they both were in trouble. Who? The headmistress and Anne Frank, when they had to bid goodbye to each other. In the summer of 1941, Grandma fell ill. In the summer of 1941, the grandma fell ill and had to have an operation, and she had to undergo operation. So my birthday passed with little celebration because her grandmother was ill. The birthday celebration was not a grand one. Grandma died in January 1942. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. So in January 1942, her grandma passed, and no one knows how often she missed her grandma and still she loved her. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and grandma's candle was lit along with the rest. So in 1941, the birthday celebration, they lit a candle in the name of her grandma. The four of us are still doing well. Who are the four? The parents and Margot and Anne. These are the four members in the family. So the four of us are still doing well. They are living a happy life, and that brings me to the present date of 20 June 1942 and the solemn dedication of my diary. And in that manner, she reached to the date when she started writing the diary. It was 20 June 1942 and the solemn dedication of my diary. She started writing her diary. Now it was Saturday, 20 June 1942, when she started writing the diary. Now this is how she started. Dear Kitty, our entire class is quaking in its boot. Quaking in its boot means shaking with fear and nervousness. Now why they were nervous? The reason, of course, is the forthcoming meeting, the upcoming meeting, in which the teachers decide who will move to the next form or move to the next class. Half of the class is making bets. GN and I laugh ourselves silly at the two boys behind us, CN and Jx, who have staked their entire holiday saving on their bet. So the entire class, even the students who were sitting behind, they were betting with each other that who would move to the next class and who would not. And they staked their entire holiday saving on their bet, and they spent their saving, the holiday saving in the bets, that who is going to promote to the next class. They spent their savings. From morning to night, it's you are going to pass, no I am not, yes you are, no I am not, and this kind of talk all the way in the class or outside the class, wherever they meet, that this kind of talk is surrounded by them. You are going to pass, no I am not, no you are going to pass, like that. Even G's pleading glances and my angry outburst can't calm them down. But when they were talking like that, it was my cry or my angry shout also couldn't stop them talking in that manner. If you ask me, there are so many dummies, and that about a quarter of the class should be kept back. If I talk about my thought, if I talk about my prediction, then there are so many dummies, there are so many duffers in the class, that about a quarter of the class should be kept back. The quarter of the class, the students are going to stay back in the same class. They would not be promoted. That is what Anne Frank says about the students in her class. So there are so many dummies that about a quarter of the class should be kept back. But teachers are the most unpredictable creature on earth. But Anne Frank stated that teachers are the most unpredictable creature on the earth. One cannot predict the teachers, that what they would decide, who would be promoted and who would be not. They can promote anybody or they can stay anybody back in the class. So Anne Frank says that teachers are the most unpredictable creature on earth. I'm not so worried about my girlfriends and myself. Anne Frank says that she is not worried about her friends, girlfriends, and about her. They are going to pass, of course. They are going to be promoted. I'm not so worried about my girlfriends and myself. We will make it. We will be promoted to next class. The only subject I'm not sure about is maths. The only subject Anne Frank was not good, that is maths, and she is a bit worried about maths result. Anyway, all we can do it is wait. Anyway, whatever they can do is only wait for the result. Until then, we keep telling each other not to lose heart. So anyway, until the teachers have not announced the result, we have to keep telling each other that don't lose hope. I get along pretty well with all my teachers. I come along pretty well with all my teachers. So Anne Frank says she had a better understanding with all her teachers. There are 9 of them. There are 9 teachers, 7 men and 2 women. So Mr. Kissing, the old fogey who teaches maths. Old fogey, the old-fashioned person, and he teaches maths. What is his name Mr. Kissing, was annoyed with me for ages, for long. The teacher, the math teacher, Mr. Kissing, angry on N. Why? Because I talked so much. Because N friend used to talk so much. She was so talkative, and that is the reason Mr. Kissing, the math teacher, didn't like her. After several warnings, he assigned me extra homework. Because N friend was so talkative, the math teachers gave her several warnings, and after that he gave an assignment, homework, an essay on the subject, a chatterbox, and she has to write an essay on the topic chatterbox. A chatterbox, what can you write about that? Now, when she got the homework to write an essay on chatterbox, she started thinking, and friends started thinking that what should she write on the topic? What can you write about that? I would worry about that later. Later on, she would be worried about that topic later on, how to write and what to write. I decided. I noted down the title in my notebook. In her notebook, she noted down the title, what she had to write, and tucked it, means kept it in my bag and tried to keep quiet. And she kept the notebook inside the bag and tried to keep quiet in the class.